loans alone were $5,000 a month.
Shut up.
When I retired, I didn't tell my parents. We're gonna be debt free, work forever, and live happily ever after.
The way you behave in those conversations can dictate whether they have a great vacation or not.
Period. And then ask ChatGPT, how can I automate this?
They should use that.
Use that.
Yes.
Right. Use that. I feel like ChatGPT is a man and Claude is a woman.
I'm here sharing inspiring stories about fearless entrepreneurial women to help encourage you to live your life unapologetically. I'm your host, Heather Blankenship. Welcome to the Unapologetically Me Podcast.
On today's episode, I'm chatting with Dr. Rachel Gainsbrugh, and she is an amazing woman who started out with $500,000 in debt and $5,000 a month student payment, y'all. Dug herself out of that situation, bought her first short-term rental, and with only 2 short-term rentals was able to retire her husband, who was also a doctor. She has so many tips and tricks on using AI to buy back your time in retiring through something as simple as a couple properties. So make sure you watch the whole episode for all those tips on using AI to get your time back in your real estate business. Thank you so much for being here today, Rachel. I'm so excited to talk to you about some of the things you've been doing as it relates to short-term rentals and AI. And actually, we were just talking about it before we started recording, and you said that your husband retired after 2 deals.
Yeah.
And I really, really want to emphasize that and hear the story from you, because so many people, when we're at events, even like you and I are at right now, they really emphasize on, ooh, I got 20 doors, or I just bought 5 more deals, or I'm closing next week. And there's so much to be said about a couple deals can be totally life-changing for your whole family.
Absolutely. And I can't emphasize it enough that we have to be a little bit more intentional with our real estate investing. And I learned that the hard way. Intentionality came from the fact that my husband and I were saddled with $500,000 of student loan debt after we'd graduated.
Wow.
Yeah, so much debt. And so we found ourselves burning the midnight oil on both ends, just working 5 jobs between the 2 of us, hopping from hospital to hospital to hospital. So talk about burnout, right?
Yeah.
If you want to lean into burnout culture, been there, done that.
The medical field is it.
The medical field is definitely it. And so
what they don't talk about is because our culture praises those medical professions so high. And not that that's not amazing that you did that, but what they don't talk about is the difference in, because my husband has a doctorate, he's a physical therapist, and the amount of money you have to spend for that degree versus the amount of money that you get paid is really, really tough.
It is.
And that's how you get where we're talking about now.
It is 100%. And also you're taxed at the level of an employee. And we all know that employees do not benefit from the tax code. There are 2 individuals that benefit from the tax code, and it is not an employee. It is a business owner and it's an investor. And so all of that hard work, all of those student loans, and you sit there and half of it gets taken, nearly half of it, by Uncle Sam. And at some point you sit down and you think to yourself, okay, am I being punked? Was this a scam? Right?
I love that. Yeah.
So it's not until we started to look into real estate investing, just for the additional cash flow on the side that didn't require us to punch a clock every time. And then we learned about the tax benefits, and I'm telling you, mine was blown.
Wait, okay, so your husband's a doctor.
He's a psychologist.
Yeah. So you're telling me that 2 deals replaced the salary of a medical professional, a psychologist.
Yeah.
That is insane to think about, right?
Yeah.
Because we hear all these people on social media and they're like, I have 300 deals, I have 400 deals. And you think that you need this extreme number to be able to do something like that. Yeah. And in reality, it can be 2.
100%. And it's not until my friend Kyle Stanley, he is in the short-term rental realm, and he and I were just trying to compare markets and numbers. He goes, wait a minute, your 5 deals are making more than my 60 properties. And that's when imposter syndrome just melted away completely, because I would walk into these rooms with these big guns and these big boys, and they had all these deals. And I'm here with my little 5, but each are cash flowing $5K plus per month.
And that's not the story that people tell you, right? When we're having these conversations at events and meetups, no one tells you, I cash flow X a month. They tell you, I have this many short-term rentals. I bought this many deals. I have this, I have that. But never is it the exact, and right, I don't expect people to come tell me what their paycheck is.
Right.
The problem is we are sharing part of the information that gives this assumption and really, really confuses people.
Yeah.
Because they're not comparing apples to apples. And it can get really confusing for not even just new investors. You were 5 deals in and still confused by this.
100%.
And so walk me back a little bit. You graduate from college. When did you get married?
Got married in 2013.
Was this before or after college?
A year before graduating with the doctorate.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you kind of got married in the process. Are you
Yes.
and your husband the same age?
Yeah, no, 5 years. He's 5 years older than me.
So he had already finished.
We finished together, actually. He
Okay.
went back and got his master's in psychology.
Okay,
Yeah.
I love that y'all got to have that experience
Yeah.
together. That's
Yeah.
so fun. And then when do you have kids?
We had 1 kid while we were in school, so
Girl,
got married.
even that is a whole conversation that
It
you were
is.
able to do that
Yeah.
while having a child. Okay,
Yep.
so you both finished school, you go get your first jobs, you got 1 child already.
Yep.
What happens next?
So got the good big girl job, $92,000 a year. Could nobody talk to me? I was from the urban center of Miami. I had never seen so much money in my life. However, the student loans. Our student loans
And the taxes, right?
and the taxes.
People tell you the 92,000.
That's
but They
it.
don't tell you what 92,000 becomes after you pay the taxes.
After you pay the taxes, you buy the big house, buy the big car. The student loans alone were $5,000 a month.
Shut up. Holy
Talk
crap.
about a wake-up call.
Yes.
That was an existential crisis. It was such a wake-up call. It was a catastrophe that had happened. And obviously, I knew nowhere else to turn except for Dave Ramsey, which is not always the right place to go. But for that moment, that was exactly what we needed.
I want to point that out.
Okay.
Because with real estate investing, most of us are like, shade on Dave Ramsey. Like, no one wants to go Dave Ramsey's route. But there is something to be said about that will drag you out of a hole.
Yeah.
Yes, you can go max out some credit cards or whatever strategy the next guru is teaching you.
Yeah.
But you can use Dave Ramsey's method to drag you out of a hole, teach you some good financial lessons, and stabilize to be able to do something else.
100%. And we were in a hole. Let me say it again, $92K a year. Taxes were eating away at our income. $5,000 on student loans alone. And we still have to live. We have a child. We have expenses. We had a mortgage, all the things. And so what would be the wisest thing to do, even before Dave Ramsey, is to get your financial situation together, but not me. I went to the Land Rover boutique. I wanted to build a house from scratch, a big house. I was doing all these things. Again, having the mindset of no financial literacy in my background, because we didn't have any finances to literate upon as a child growing up in the inner city, immigrant, from Haiti. So it was quite a big deal to see that amount of money coming in, or purportedly coming in. So for me, Dave Ramsey was kind of that mindset shift and that initial introduction into financial literacy. And so I'm forever thankful. Along the way, though, I started to feel like, okay, is this all that life has to offer? Am I just going to punch a clock and pay down debt, punch a clock and pay down debt? So at that point, we started to gain some control, and I found myself slowly taking off my Dave Ramsey hat, because I had stumbled upon a little podcast called Bigger Pockets back in 2017.
Listen, y'all, I know today's episode is inspiring, but inspiration alone will never carry us to our ultimate goals. That's why I started the Society of Entrepreneurial Women. It's a mastermind for high-performing female investors and entrepreneurs who are living their lives unapologetically. In a world where most people don't get us, or they try to keep us confined in a small box, the Society exists to turn off the brakes and set you free. We have weekly calls covering investing, wealth building, health, relationships, family, and a whole lot more. We have small tribes to hold each other accountable to our goals. We have in-person, ladies-only retreats to disconnect and drive each other towards our dreams. And most importantly, this is a community where you can be unapologetically you. Celebrate your wins, scream your successes from the top of the rooftop, become best friends with women who get you. We're 3 years in, and I can honestly say my best friends today are all from the society. Click the link in the show notes to learn more.
I feel like that's kind of the era we all found Bigger Pockets. I don't know if they had some boom then or what, but that's kind of when we all found it. And so you've learned from Dave Ramsey some really great core foundations for finance. Like, I really want to point out that those are there because I feel like because he doesn't believe in debt as real estate investors, like, those are two different things. With where he's teaching you not to have debt, he's mostly on the personal side of it. Although he does have a really great new book. I don't know if you've read it yet.
No,
and it's talking about building a business that you love. So it's his perspective from a business side. I'm like halfway through it, so I'm not sure I wanted to tell you that you need to read it yet. The first half is great so far. But you do learn some really great foundations in finance. And then how do you shift? Because some people, they were in such a bad place, like you were talking about, that you shift to this, you're getting out of that. Most people can't transition into the next step because they're so fearful that they'll go back to where they were. So how do you start progressing to get out of this and decide, I'm going to invest in real estate?
It just made sense. I just felt that looming feeling driving to work every single day, crying in my coffee, wondering, is this all life has to offer? And so sometimes you have those moments, and a pivotal moment for me is when I had ended one of those 14-hour shifts and I was headed back home, and I got the call from the pharmacy manager saying that my partner, who had just taken over, I passed the baton over, was just held at gunpoint.
Oh gosh.
And so that just sprung me into action, that I've got to do something drastically different. You ever have those moments in your life that just kind of shakes you to your core? And I always felt like, okay, I'm out here working my tail off, building someone else's dream, paying off debt, thankfully so, got a big degree, got the prestige, got the degree, but it was a lot of pressure. Right? And so I was working on someone else's dream, had really nothing to show for myself on the business side, nothing to show for my legacy. And I really wanted something. And that's how I decided, you know what, I've got to do something related to real estate, and started to just kind of evaluate different types of real estate strategies, fix and flip, syndications, storage facilities, all the things, long-term rental, short-term rental. And so what made sense for me, because I wanted to be super intentional, because I had already burnt myself out to a crisp. So for this next phase of life, I said I had to be intentional. I've got to understand, yes, how much can we make with a particular strategy, but what's the cost also? And so went down the rabbit hole. Coming from the Dave Ramsey route, I'm thinking, okay, I've got to buy as cheap as possible. Wholesaling, that everyone says you can start wholesaling without any debt. So Dave, no worries, no debt involved. I'm going to do wholesaling. Girl.
It's just another job, right?
A whole job. And I already have a job. We had 5 of those, okay? So I did not need a 6th job. And that was a job, and it's a job where if you don't set it up correctly, you know.
And so I think that's important to point out too, because we talk about like flippers and wholesaling and real estate agents, and they want to group that all in as real estate investors.
Right.
And I am not saying there's anything wrong with those professions, but they are not investing.
No.
Those are active jobs, which can be a really great start for somebody if you don't have a high W-2 job already.
Yeah.
Because they're taxed the same way. They're active income. You are hustling your butt off to make that money. It can be a really great way to learn some real estate investing skills, some skills that are transferable into real estate investing, and get you kind of a little nest egg to be able to invest with. I think it's a great way to start. But that should never be confused as this is real estate investing.
I couldn't agree with you more. And so it reminds me of Dr. Elena. She's a client of mine. She's from Uzbekistan. She started going down the wholesaling route, and her husband had no idea. He goes, "What do you mean? You're driving for $1?" So driving for dollars, that was a big buzzword. And so not all strategies are in alignment with every individual, it's got to be a little bit more personalized.
Yes.
Where is your best and highest talent? And mine was, actually punching that clock that I had paid nearly $500,000 to gain that degree for. So let me punch this clock. Let me borrow using some really cheap money, leveraging my W-2 income, and let me get a loan for 3.5%, 5%, 10% down to put into a property that I can then furnish and leverage via short-term rentals. That was the most in alignment with me. But everyone's different, Heather, right? Some people, their family built construction companies and they've been in construction since they were 16.
And they've got that skill. They should
use that.
Yes.
Right. Use that.
Yes.
But I'm not her. We could barely paint in a straight line. So construction was not, fix and flip was not was my best. It was not my best and highest. And so that's when I got really clear. And one thing I shared with you was the highest ROI for a new investor is in the ability to focus.
Yes.
And I got really clear, and I'm a one-trick pony when it comes to real estate. It is my furnished rentals. I do either short-term or mid-term. That is my cup of tea. I am in a ground-up construction right now, which is, if it doesn't kill me by next year, you know what? It's a whole miracle.
How funny is it how often we have to learn these lessons all over again?
All day.
Right? I'm like, Jesus, I'm tired of learning these lessons. And he's like, yeah, but you keep doing it, right? You keep doing it.
All day.
And so, okay. We're going to forget about the ground up construction because we know better.
For now,
so you look at all these different types of asset classes. You decide, okay, short-term rental is going to be it for me.
Yeah.
What happens next?
So during that time, I had joined all of these Facebook groups, okay? Because that's what Brandon...
What year is it now when we're talking about this?
2018,
okay.
2017, 2018, circa. Join all these Facebook groups because that's what Brandon Turner, Beardy Brandon, told us to do, to network. So join all the groups, going down the rabbit hole, connecting with wholesalers, really having those conversations with the actual folks who are in the trenches doing the work. Boots on the ground. Spoke with storage facility investors, everyone. Just like really, really tell me the truth. Tell me exactly what a day into life looks like. And I think part of being a good investor is asking the right questions, right? So tell me what your life really looks like. And I heard everyone's stories. I was like, no, that's definitely not for me. That's not what I was sold. That is definitely not for me. That's not for me. That's not for me. That's not for me. Including passive investing. I haven't worked so hard in my life for some of the passive investing activities I participated in, right? So that's not for me. That's not for me. That's not for me. However, the short-term rental, yes, there is a lift to it. The ROI seemed at the time to be more in alignment with the goals that we were setting for ourselves. So there it is, right there in one of the Facebook groups, this beautiful home. Girl, light minty green color, the sun glimmering off the side.
It was speaking to you.
It was speaking. I drug my husband, kicking, screaming, take me to Alabama so we can get this dream property of all places. Alabama, dream property. Wholesaler dropped it in the group. I'm texting him back and forth. Take me to Alabama. My husband reluctantly drives me there, and I'm just like, babe, and then, we'll do this with the blinds, and then the curtains will look like this, and oh my gosh, here are the types of guests we're gonna set up. I've been watching all of this YouTube. We're gonna set this up. It's gonna change our lives. We're gonna bring in so much money off of this property. As we're getting closer and closer, the conversation starts to, dim a little bit, because why am I looking like I'm back in the hood in Miami? This is not the bill of goods that I was sold. And next thing you know, my husband turns around to me. He's like, honey, is this the house? I'm like, oh, there's no way. I take up my phone. I was like, let me text him right now. This can't be. It was the house. It was the house. The house was so dilapidated. It looked like it was being held together by cottage cheese. Okay, so it was a nightmare. The budget had spoken to me. It was $17,000 purchase price, right? My first venture, my first mistake, thinking that I would get an amazing asset for $17K, but I was still on that Dave Ramsey mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, cash in hand. We had $17K. You got to buy the house cash. And so what flipped the switch for me is, number one, again, I'm not a fix and flipper. I'm not in construction. We don't buy ugly houses. We just can't. We don't have that capacity. So as we're driving back, in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm not part of the We Buy Ugly Houses crowd. Nothing wrong with that if you have the bandwidth and the skill set and the team to help with it. We didn't have any of that. So I drew the line in the sand. I said, okay, I'm part of the We Buy Pretty Houses crowd. Something that needs a little bit of lipstick, because that was what was within our capacity.
Yeah.
And so as we're driving back, I had to deal with my husband. If this doesn't work out, we're back to our debt snowball with Dave Ramsey. That $17K is going to get wrapped back up to continue the momentum of the snowball. However, the exact next morning, it was a Sunday morning, he gets an alert on his phone, and it's a property in our own backyard, $290,000. We had been approved for a 5% loan by a credit union locally. We purchased that as our first short-term rental. We did the work, lipstick on it, and that first month, we made $6,500.
I love that.
Ladies, it's time to redefine the conference experience with the Society of Entrepreneurial Women Retreats. Step inside a world tailored for women just like you, where you can lead, learn, and unwind in style. Our retreats offer everything from insightful investing sessions to fun activities like salsa dancing, boat cruises, food tours, and so much more, ensuring you come back not just inspired, but truly refreshed. Join a community that celebrates you wholly and supports your every endeavor. Ready for a retreat that changes the game? Visit the link in our show notes and find out how you can be part of this exclusive experience.
I love that. Okay, so you buy your first property. Mm-hmm. You made some smart choices, because we're sold that real estate investing is passive. That word in the financial freedom. And that word is associated for some reason with like all areas of real estate, right? Mm-hmm. Which we know is not it.
Yeah.
And all of them have some active component.
Yeah.
And we're all different people who come from different backgrounds, different skills, different talents, different things we don't like, different things that we do, different things we tolerate, some things we don't.
Yeah.
I think choosing your hard is a really great lesson, because there's going to be ups and downs. And did you self-manage that first one?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to have guest communications. You're going to be dealing with cleaners. Like, maybe you like that, right? Some people like that. Mm-hmm. I would much rather deal with guest communications and cleaners than manage contractors. I don't want to manage contractors. I have someone on my team now that does that. But when you're first starting out, choosing which hard is a skill that you already have is really, really important. You're used to communicating with patients. You're used to talking to people. Did you say pharmacy?
Yeah.
So people coming up to the window, they're asking questions about this and that. And they're like, wait, what about this? What about that? Yeah. That's really great customer service skills that are transferable to talking to these guests.
Yeah.
And you're used to scheduling and being patient, like all the studying that you did. These are transferable skills.
100%.
You didn't need to go learn construction.
Yeah, 100%.
Mixed in with learning to invest. So I love that you were able to pick the hard or the active part of it that works for you.
Yeah. I will add that a lot of the doctor clients that we have in our community say that the patient care is definitely transferable to the guest care, that they've noticed it.
It's the same thing. It's like a bedside manner is
period.
The same thing. These people are on a vacation, and the way you behave in those conversations can dictate whether they have a great vacation or not.
Period.
And I don't think some people think about that, because it is an investment.
Yeah.
So there is an emotional component of it that with that guest service that we don't always want to talk about.
Yeah, and it's surprising, because oftentimes, like our docs, they're thinking, oh, I don't know if I can do this and that and the other. And then they add a little popcorn station, and they're obsessed. Like, I wonder if they're going to like it. And they're like checking in. Did you see the popcorn station? I was like, that's patient care. It's the same.
Yes.
You're absolutely right.
I love that.
I'm glad that you figured that out. It took us a moment to figure that out, for sure.
I love that. Okay, so you buy this first one.
Yeah.
And it's clearly a home run. Mm-hmm. But it's not letting you leave your jobs.
No. And I would say this, a lot of times when we go into healthcare, it's not to leave our jobs, right? We're lifers, right?
Yes.
At this point, we've both retired, but we're lifers. You go into healthcare, you go into medicine to save lives forever.
I also think a lot of, as you meet more people like yourself, my husband has this characteristic. They're truly people who care about like the livelihood of people.
Yeah.
So my husband we have 5 kids. He stays at home with the kids now, and like those are his patients right now. But he genuinely like loves when Carolina, who happens to be in the room right now, her husband hurt his shoulder? Yeah. He hurt his shoulder and texts my husband, and he's like, I need a routine for this and that. And my husband is like, eating it up, filming him a video on some like stretches he needs to do and these different things, and like, because it's part of you.
It is.
You go through so many years of training for it, and it becomes somebody who you are.
Yeah, 100%. But I will tell you, the psychology started to take a toll on him because he was dealing with some at-risk youth in the public school system, and some of those kiddos, oh my gosh, they had seen the worst of the worst, Heather. Yeah. Some have seen family pass away right before them, have witnessed murders, and my husband being so sensitive and having 2 boys of his own, it really started to weigh on him. And so I could see the stress. And again, he was a reluctant spouse. He wanted no part of real estate. We're doing our debt snowball. We're going to be debt free, work forever, and live happily ever after. However, he started to see the revenue come in. And so I will say, for those of you who are listening, if you have a spouse who's a little bit reluctant, have that conversation with them, build the dream, build the vision with them, and ask them to just let you do one deal. Just let me do one deal.
This isn't a forever thing. We can sell it if it doesn't work.
Exactly. Yeah. But he saw that working, and he was like, can we do another? I was like, say less, and we did the second deal. And upon that second deal, he was like, would you be okay with me just managing this? And
yes, please.
I was like, yes, please. I would love that. And that's how he was able to retire with 2 deals.
I freaking love that story. So I'm really curious. You have your oldest son just graduated high school last week.
Last week.
Proud mama.
Yes.
Are you encouraging your kids to go to college with the way you started with all the debt? How are you encouraging your kids in that area?
That's a good conversation, and it's a hard conversation to have. Being an immigrant, when I retired, I didn't tell my parents until a year and a half after. I didn't want to get in trouble.
Dude, my husband's from Singapore, and him telling his parents, I'm going to stay home with kids, they're still mad. Yeah. They don't get it. Yeah. Because the job that you have and the education you have is put on such a platform over the quality of your life.
Period.
It is like built up, and this is like your parents' pride and joy.
Oh my gosh, your whole doctorate and Dr. Rachel, and it's like, oh my gosh.
Well, that's why when you came in, I was like, what do you want to be called?
Just Rachel. Yeah. I'm Rachel. 100%. Yeah. So for me, just telling them that I was like nervous. So for my kids, I'm a little bit open-ended now that I see, I see the world in a different light. I see the power of entrepreneurship. I encourage it. I say, it's good to have a good education. It's good to be well-rounded. But if my son, he determined, I want to go into entrepreneurship, I want to go into real estate investing, I wouldn't be as triggered as I probably would have had I not had these experiences myself.
So did you encourage him to go to college?
I didn't say one way or another. Honestly, I didn't say a thing. As a matter of fact, back in January, he sat with me. He goes, Mom, I need help. I really need to go to college. I was like, oh, okay. I will say I was excited. I was like, okay, good. You're going to do something with your life, So I was excited about that. He's going to go into software and hardware engineering. But at the same time, I was like, you need to build your brand. He was like, what does that even mean? So you got to build a brand. Start building a brand now. It's taken Mama forever to build her brand. And so I see it from a different perspective. I do believe that the education put me on the map in certain ways. I think I get to have unique conversations. I get to solve a problem that, I had. The past Rachel would have loved to know that my future isn't tied just to this one degree. I'm not necessarily a one-trick pony. I can do other things. I can get out of my lane. You know how they say, stay in your lane? No, it's okay to veer off of your lane of medicine every now and then and see what else the world has to offer.
So shifting gears a little bit, another thing that you have gotten really great at is using AI to buy back some of your time in these short-term rentals.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
Okay, talk to me a little bit about that.
Oh my gosh. If you are not using AI with your short-term rentals, you are still on the struggle bus. I truly believe it. And so AI takes care of over 50% of our guest communications right now. So there are tools out there to help you out. So that's no longer a barrier. We are working to get it to 90%. So it's getting there. And what's amazing about the tools is we're training it. And so it's providing more humanistic responses on a day-to-day level. It's allowing you to step away from your business, because there comes a time where you need to work on your business and not just in your business, like drudging along. As far as market analysis, AI is getting smarter and smarter. You can leverage it to identify who is it specifically that you're wanting to serve in the markets that you're looking to invest in. And I think that's something that gets overlooked a lot. That individual matters, whether it's a multi-generational family that's traveling with kids and pets, whether it's a family who's displaced from their home, who need a place to stay, a furnished house to stay in. They're traveling with pets. So notice I keep saying pets, right? Recurring theme. And I know 65% of families are looking for pet-friendly stays, and only 24%
Girl,
of hosts.
we've been traveling with a lizard. My son insisted
I don't know about no
he
lizard.
had this lizard. And so the last 5 places we've gone, we've had to take a lizard cage with us. And so I feel like anybody who has kids, and not kids, people who don't have kids seem to have tons of pets too.
Yeah.
Like, you go through these phases of whether it's dogs, cats, lizards, emotional
Lizards.
support. For my long-term rentals, we've seen a million different emotional support type animals.
Yeah.
But the pet thing is real.
It is
and
real.
there's also some new tech and apps for pet this and that. But I'm curious,
100%.
for those of us who are like, girl, I just got used to using ChatGPT.
Yes.
What are my next 3 steps on, I have my rentals, I've just gotten used to using ChatGPT. What are my next 3 steps on integrating some AI into my real estate business?
That's a great question. I would say solve for your specific problem and just put blinders on, because whenever you log in, everyone has this new tip or trick for AI that may not necessarily solve your specific problem. So what is that most annoying thing that you're doing in your life right now that you wish someone would just, Lord, take it away. Someone take it away. Jesus, take the wheel. What are those annoying things? And write it down, because some of those things, they're actually your energy vampires. They zap the life out of you.
Yes, they do.
Okay, so figure out what your energy vampires are. What are the things that zap the life out of you? And then ask yourself, can this be automated? And then ask ChatGPT, how can I automate this? And I often love using the audio function on ChatGPT, the little wave, and I speak to it. I say, hey, here's what I'm doing every day. It's really zapping the life out of me. Can this be automated? And take a look at the workflow that it provides you. So that's the first step. Figure out your energy vampires.
So to go with that, I got some really great advice a long time ago in my career, and it told me to take my whole to-do list for the day, and for each item on the to-do list, say, can I automate, eliminate, or delegate this item? Because
100%.
all of these things should not, as the CEO, the owner, the everything, all these things should not be on your list. What can we automate, eliminate, or delegate from this list today? And as AI has gotten more and more user-friendly, more and more readily available to the public at an affordable rate, that automate has gotten more and more real on our to-do list. So I love that advice.
Yeah, 1,000%. I love that. And I would say, and solve for your problems. If it's a vacancy problem, have a brutal honesty chat with ChatGPT. I say, be brutally honest. Here's my listing. Here's what it's looking like. And it will tell you, okay, your listing sucks. You know, these photos suck. Not in that way. However, it will help you to identify, well, what are the gaps, right, that are causing my property to be vacant?
Okay, so it's funny you say this, because we see, if you're a social media user, we'll see people who are like, they do these funny trends. And I can remember one not that long ago, and it's like, roast my social media account or whatever. You put your social media in ChatGPT and you ask it to like roast you. Why are we not using this for like actual usable things?
Yeah.
Like
roast my property because it's been sitting empty for the last 3 months. Like,
yes,
seriously.
roast my property. Show me my blind spots. I love that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And I would use it as a strategic partner. If I'm trying to get from here to get to there, what you're doing now may not get you there, right? Because what worked in the past may not get you to that next level. I come from, again, the hustle culture, but I'm done with hustling. So what's the right alternative? What's the best next step for me? So I use ChatGPT as a strategic partner from time to time, and I create like a little makeshift board of directors. And so what would Steve Jobs say about the situation? What about Oprah? What would Shonda Rhimes say? Just get the perspective of these other billionaires who just are thought leaders in their specific spaces. It doesn't have to be real estate related, but some of these are like first world thought processes, and it's great. It'll say, you need to fire her. Like, why are you asking? Like, you've been knowing you need to fire her. It's like, okay, you're probably right. So those are the ways that I would use ChatGPT. Just solve your own problems with ChatGPT. Leverage tools that are industry specific. For guest communication, we love using a tool called HostBuddy AI. I'm not an affiliate yet, but that's a cool little tool.
What do you love about it?
It's that tool that sounds the most humanistic when it comes to responding to Airbnb short-term rental guests. So it integrates with the software and it's on the spot. It leverages our knowledge base, all of the data it's able to pull from previous responses, and it's really good.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So if that's your first favorite tool, what's your second?
I love Claude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Claude is great when it comes to, do you want me to share all my tools?
I would love you to,
Okay,
yeah.
let's do it. Okay. So I love ChatGPT for my day-to-day for sure. It's really good with research. So it's my go-to. It's like right there saved on my bookmarks. So if you're wanting to integrate a little bit more AI in your life, have ChatGPT saved right there in your bookmarks so that you can click on it and you're able to use it. Hot tip with ChatGPT, like most things, garbage in, garbage out. So you need to have a good understanding of your workflow with prompting it correctly. So sometimes I ask ChatGPT, here's what I'm trying to accomplish. Give me the right prompts to help me.
Let's do a quick exercise with that.
Sure.
Because I cook all my kids' meals from scratch. That is like and I don't mean that in this like bragging way. It's a high priority for my family. My husband and I work really hard to feed my kids really great meals. Yeah. So if I were to put in a ChatGPT, what should we have for dinner? That is going to be a really crappy prompt, right? Yeah. But if I'm going to say, my family likes these items, these are some dishes we typically make, here's a few things I know we don't like, here's the groceries I have in the fridge right now, show me 3 options to make for dinner, right? Yeah. So talk us through an exercise similar to this in real estate. Oh,
that's such a great question. And you can even take a photo of your fridge and it can identify what those items are on your behalf. So that's even better. So with ChatGPT, for short-term rentals specifically, I would ask it the question around the different markets that I want to invest in. So say I have a short list of 3 markets. I was just speaking with a lady a little bit earlier. She's thinking of Phoenix, Arizona. So let's say, okay, I want to invest in Phoenix, Arizona. I would ask ChatGPT, here's where I want to invest, Phoenix, Arizona. Can you tell me a little bit more about the demographics of the people who would rent out my property? I'm thinking of a 3-bedroom. I'm thinking of a studio. I'm thinking of a 2-bedroom. Let me know what size property would be ideal for the type of cash flow I'm looking to generate. What are their pain points, their wants, their needs? What would I need to do to attract them? So we primarily focus on families who are traveling, those who are going to pay us top dollar, right? Again, I wasn't going into this to purchase 20 properties. I was just trying to purchase one. So I needed the avatar that was willing to pay me the most for my property. And so I want to know who's going to pay me top dollar. And then it'll break down the demographics to you. And then it will share with you, well, what are some things that you need to have in the property? What type of setup that they would appreciate? Is it a modern design? Is it a French country design? Like what type of design would appeal to that avatar? And you can go back and forth with it to really paint kind of a business plan on what this property needs to look like, paint the picture based off of market analysis. So That's an activity that I have all of our clients do. Understanding who's the avatar that is willing to come to your market to pay top dollar.
Okay, I also love that you bring up, this goes even as far as design, because we are in Orlando right now.
Yes.
And all of the properties here are like themed out with Disney, right? You cannot go somewhere and stay at a short-term rental that doesn't have Mickey Mouse on it.
Yeah.
That's a unique thing here,
Yes.
right? It's clear that people are coming here for that type of vacation.
Yes.
But if we aren't putting our short-term rentals in Orlando, that's a great question. Do I need it? I was just talking to a lady here, and they do tiny homes that are themed, Harry Potter and all these random different things in Asheville, North Carolina. And it's killing it.
Yeah.
I would have never decided to put a Harry Potter themed tiny home in Asheville, North Carolina. I wouldn't have thought of that. But asking ChatGPT, are we theming this? Like you said, is this French country? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Instead of just dreaming up, oh, I love French country right now because it's trending. Like, let's put that in Miami.
Yeah.
Probably not the place for that.
Yeah, exactly. So let AI do some of the heavy lifting for you, right? You let the AI know what are the skills, the tools, the resources you have in your hand. How do I best optimize this for my next big step?
I love that.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned Claude.
Yes.
We did, for my women's group, we did have a specialist come on and teach them how to use Claude.
Oh, I love Claude.
Yes, so talk to me about what you love about it. Because you're talking about how you use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
How are you now differently using Claude in your daily activity?
I feel like ChatGPT is a man and Claude is a woman.
Okay.
And if you know, you know.
Talk to me about that.
So Claude has a little bit more of a storytelling vibe. It's very much a phenomenal storyteller, a great copywriter. Whenever I'm looking to write something that's a little bit deeper, a little bit more captivating and compelling, even a little punchier, I go into Claude because that is the default for Claude. ChatGPT, I can get it there. I've built out some custom GPTs that help me with my repeated tasks. So I can get ChatGPT there, but Claude on the spot, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, chef's kiss. So for instance, if I am using ChatGPT for my research, I just need to know demographics, give me my bullets, I'm good to go. Claude would be along the lines of, I want to share a social media post, a heartfelt social media post about my little boy. Who just graduated, and I want to share a story about when he was on the carousel ride and now we're riding off to college, and I kind of share with Claude my thought process, my ideas, and it provided such an amazing, compelling story. Threw that thing on social media, got so much engagement from it, and people were like, yeah, oh my gosh, like it made me cry. It was so good. So Claude is phenomenal for narratives and storytelling. There's a new model, and by the time this episode airs, everything I just said is irrelevant because there are new models dropping every day, right?
Yes,
so there's a new model as well that does a ton of coding as well, and it's getting, it definitely could be leveraged for those bullet points, but ChatGPT is my go-to for like, give me my demographics, give me some market insights as I'm going in, and of course, trust but verify. Yeah, so Claude is my go-to when it comes to copywriting. My other tool that I love, and I'll share 2 more tools that I absolutely love because I do quite a few presentations. Gamma AI, Gamma app, that's a good one. I can throw a list, like bullet points, just throw it into Gamma, and it spits out a PowerPoint presentation for me. And it looks phenomenal because I have provided it my brand colors and my brand templates. And then the last one that I'll share with you is called Napkin.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, Napkin is phenomenal. So one of the pillars inside of my community, they're always struggling with the taxes. And so it became my life's mission to make sure that we're leveraging the tax code in a way that benefits us, right? And so explaining the whole process of a cost segregation study, bonus depreciation, material participation, all of that, like the order of things, you acquire property. So I said, how do I just display this in a way that it's like a mind map, like one nice big image workflow? And it used to be, Heather, I would pay someone on Fiverr and we'd go back and forth. I didn't mean this color to me. it'll give it to you like this. And it could be a prompt based off of you speaking. Okay, I want to explain cost segregation studies, bonus depreciation, the short-term rental loophole, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
And is this a graphic that it puts together?
It provides a beautiful graphic, 100 different options. Do you want a mind map? Do you want a Venn diagram? Do you want a flow chart? Do you want a funnel? So many options, and you just choose it. Get it while it's free. It's free. I downloaded, throw it on a PowerPoint. It's phenomenal.
I love that tip.
Napkin AI. Yeah.
Well, Rachel, thank you so much for doing this with us today. This has been super informative in this short period. I couldn't thank you enough. For those who want to learn more about what you're doing, where can they find you?
Yeah, if you go to twodoordocs.com, all about two doors can change your whole life. And I typically have trainings on that link. So twodoordocs.com.
Thank you.
Remember, authenticity is your superpower. Stay unapologetically yourself, and let's continue embracing our uniqueness together. Make sure you hit that follow button so you don't miss the next episode.